I mean, after the drone strike by the Houthis into Tel Aviv last week, Israel responded disproportionately and justifiably so, and blew the Hodeidah port completely up. Gas producing facilities, gas refineries, power plants, I mean, just destroyed a port. And in the U.S., nobody reported it because it got swamped by the news. Our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, our National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, the Secretary of Defense, the guy that Joe Biden can't remember whose name it is, Lloyd Austin, Joe Biden himself, Kamala Harris, none of them had a peep to say about that. Why? Well, because on Sunday morning, after apparently ruminating over most of Saturday afternoon and finally coming to a decision, Joe Biden pulled the LBJ option. He didn't do it like LBJ did, but he nonetheless decided he's had enough and is not going to compete for the office of the presidency for 2024 after all. And I'm going to play, just to kind of set the stage, LBJ from 1968. And we'll compare and contrast briefly why what Joe Biden did is wholly unlike what LBJ did, and kind of get into some of the details and where we go from here. Let's play cut number 8 from March end of March, I think, of 68.
Accordingly, I shall not seek, and I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term as your president.
Now, this was just a line out of a 40-minute address, something like that the president gave from the Oval Office to update the nation on what was going on with the Vietnam campaign. And it was all foreign policy and why we need to do this and what problems we've had here and what we're trying to do to get around it. Unpopular in the polls, and everybody thought he was in trouble for a re-elect campaign, but he decided to just throw it into this foreign policy address to the nation and said, by the way, I'm not going to run. But he gave his party plenty of time to recover, and they fielded a campaign. Of course, Richard Nixon won fairly handily in 68, but it was wholly different than what we saw out of Joe Biden. His campaign manager, Jen O'Malley Dillon, was on Morning Joe either Thursday morning or Friday morning and said, it's all lies, it's all lies. He's in it to win it. He's all in. Anything you hear to the contrary is just nonsense. Now, I followed the feed of Mark Halperin for most of the end of last week. And I didn't follow him because I like him much. And I didn't follow him because I agree with his politics. I don't. Not even a little bit. And he kind of fell out of favor because of a Me Too episode that cost him his gig at MSNBC. He co-hosted a show with John Heilemann for a while, and he was a staple, a feature on Morning Joe, until he had some female problems, and he had to kind of go away, and he was out of favor. But even though he's out of favor and has been trying to still kind of rebuild his own brand and still write about politics, he hasn't lost his sourcing. And who his sourcing is? It was quite evident his sourcing was Nancy Pelosi and people within the Obama administration. So when he was calling his shot and saying, yeah, this is going to happen sooner than later, because the pain ratcheting up by Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Barack Obama was going to continue to increase on Joe Biden until he yielded, and it was just a matter of time. And of course, everybody's saying, oh, come on. All lies, all lies, all lies. He called a shot because on Sunday, Joe Biden hung it up. And It's been remarkable to see how fast the Democratic Party, which is all about my democracy because they want to save the country from Donald Trump, who's going to suspend the Constitution, and democracy itself is going to collapse, according to the fever swamp on the left. Yet the Democratic Party is going to apparently hand the nomination to somebody that didn't earn any votes in any primary.